winter here in Queensland, which means it's lemon season, and we're going to be making some lemon butter. Well, that's what we call it in Australia. Some people may call it lemon curd. In Australia, it's lemon butter. We put it on toast, we put it in our muffins, we put it on cereal, we put it on pancakes. It's lemon butter. Okay, thing about making lemon butter is you've got to be quick, because otherwise it gets too cold too fast, and we're going to be water bathing this recipe. So what you need to do is get everything organised in advance. So what I'm doing here is actually soaking some lemons off our lemon tree, and these lemons don't have any of the wax on the outside that commercial lemons that you purchase would have, and if they do, you need to clean that off. But these are just straight off our lemon tree. So I'm just soaking them to warm them up because it's so cold here, and I want to get the juice from these lemons. Now, I know for this recipe that I need 5 lemons, and I've actually got 6, but that's okay because the extra juice I'm going to save. On top of the lemons, really simple 4 ingredients. On top of the lemons, you're going to need 2.5 cups of white sugar. We're going to need 250 grams of diced up natural butter without salt, so unsalted butter. Eggs at room temperature. If you've got your own eggs like these ones, great. If you've got store-bought ones, again, make sure they're as fresh as possible. And we need 7 egg yolks and 4 whole eggs to make this mix, and that's all the ingredients that we're going to need. But we need to be prepared. So, because we're going to be making on a double boiler our lemon butter or lemon curd, we're going to start by heating up a saucepan with a little bit of water at the base, and then my bowl sits on top of that as my double boiler, which we'll see later on. All of the jars are in there with boiling water. This is a water bath canner or a very large saucepan that's able to take the height of your jars plus cover it by another couple of inches. So they've all got boiling water in them. The water in the base is also turned on, staying nice and hot, because we're just trying to sanitize them as best we can because we're dealing with egg and butter. Lid's the same thing, they're also being kept nice and hot. Equipment that I'm going to need is I'm going to need a jar filler, I'm going to need a ladle, I'm going to need a jar lifter to get them out, I'm going to use the tongs to get the jars out of the canner because they've got boiling water in them, and so they're really hot and we need to do them one at a time, and just this little tool with a magnet on the end to help me get the jars lids out of the boiling water as well. When it comes to making the lemon butter, we're going to need strainer to strain the eggs. It'll make sense later on. Once we've beaten the eggs, we need to strain the eggs to get the excess out of the egg white that doesn't beat up properly. So especially with homegrown eggs versus store-bought, but definitely with store-bought as well. So we can't miss that step, or you'll end up with pieces of white egg in amongst your lemon butter, which doesn't look very nice because it'll curdle. Balloon whisk to start it off, a spoon to check when it's ready, and a lemon zester. So let's get going. Okay, so zested 4 of the big lemons equals a couple of, about a half a cup of lemon zest. That then goes with the sugar, mixed together. Put that aside for about 30 minutes or so. But just for me, what I do is I pop it aside while I'm preparing my eggs and getting all my other ingredients ready. This is just going to infuse that lemon zest in with the sugar. And so eventually all these ingredients are going to go together in the pan at once. So it all happens really quickly once we just get the ingredients sorted. It only takes 5 minutes to make this recipe. It's really quick. Okay, on to juicing the 4 lemons now. I need 1 cup of lemon juice. Sliced lemons, these don't fit in the lemon crusher, so we're going to be doing this manually. When we are juicing the lemons, be sure to be using a strainer to collect all of the seed as well as any of the pulp. We don't want any of that going into our lemon butter. Okay, lemons have all been squeezed. Let's have a look. Beautiful, nice clear lemon juice. All of this excess pulp and seeds as well as the lemon shells will all be popped into a freezer safe for later on when I'm jam making, so there's no waste from our lemons. Now we only need 1 cup of juice. As I said, this 4 giant lemons has produced a lot more, and warming them up either in a hot water basin like I've done is perfect because you get extra juice. You can also heat them up in a microwave if you need, or just leave them on a bench and roll them on a bench as well. We'll just give the sieve a little clean because we're going to need that for the eggs. of keeping a sink full of water. Your hot water after you've pulled the lemons out, add a bit of detergent to it, and you can wash up as you go, which is exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so I just need 1 cup of lemon juice for the recipe. Once again, into the sink. Clean as I go. Okay. So I need 1 cup. I actually have got over that. I've got 400 mils, which is good because I've got an extra jar that I'm going to fill. And while the water can is on, I'm going to preserve the lemon juice. On to the next part of the recipe, which is going to be separating out our egg whites and our yolks, and then keeping the yolks and 4 whole eggs together. So I need 7 whole yolks and 4 whole eggs. Okay. Egg yolks plus whole eggs, egg whites, they'll go in the fridge for later use. Strainer over a bowl, because once we've whisked this together, we're going to strain these eggs. So just combining the eggs really, really well with a whisk, nice balloon whisk. And then we're just going to strain this mixture out. So I'm going to whisk for a couple of minutes. You don't need to see that. Now it is really important that you do give them a good whisk. You really want to incorporate the egg whites with the yolk, otherwise you will end up with lots of white separated egg in your lemon butter or lemon curd once it's been cooked and then water bathed. This is a step that really you can't reduce the amount of time, so giving it a really, really good whisk for a couple of minutes, not using electric beaters. We don't want to whisk a whole heap of air in it. We just want to really incorporate those egg whites. And these instructions are for people like my daughter and other people who will watch us in the future, so that they also learn a technique. This was how my grandfather always made his lemon butters, except he didn't use a pot lifter in a pot. He used rocks in the bottom of the pot. Don't ask me why. Obviously we know why. It keeps the jars off the bottom. I won't be using rocks, just saying. But it's the same principle as what he did. And this one's a shelf-stable recipe from one of the studies that's been performed with the University of Georgia. And safe food handling practices within their guidelines. So it will store on a shelf for 3 to 4 months. It can store in the refrigerator for longer, in a freezer for up to a year. It's never going to last that long. All right, on to straining our eggs. They've been mixed well enough. Give that a quick clean. So as I go, I'm not doing any dishes afterwards. Right, so we are just going to pop our eggs That is what we don't want in our lemon curd, right? That's what we want. Beautiful, nice orange, bright orange, freshly laid eggs, or barn fresh eggs, as close as you can get them. And now it all comes together and we start the fun part. Now we've prepped all our ingredients. Okay, remember the sugar that we were leaving 30 minutes? It's been about 30 minutes. Okay, my way, simple way. Eggs go in with the sugar and the zest. To that we add 1 cup of lemon juice. And yes, I'm adding 125 grams of butter now, not later. The reason I add it now, and Pop used to add it now, but the reason that we add it now is because this mix has got to heat up in the water bath. Now, this is my water bath, my giant big bowl. It saves on dishes, it's lightweight, and it cooks really, really quickly. So it's a really good solution that I've been using for decades. Okay. Let's take this over to the stove. Now, before we go on to the stove, we're going to give this a quick mix together and combine it all. Okay. Over a simmering pot. Just going to turn the heat up on my stove to 5. It's only just over halfway. And this is the part that we have to continuously stir with the whisk now. everything melts. Okay, so we're going to, using the water bath, continue to mix, stirring really. Okay, so over the double boiler of simmering water is all our ingredients. Butter has incorporated, and now the eggs are going to start cooking. This is where you need to stay with the pot at all times, continue to stir so nothing gets caught in the bottom. We're aiming for a temperature of 69 degrees. It's currently 52. 69 is the pasteurisation point, and the point when the curd will become quite thick once we remove it, which is exactly what we're going to do. Now, the sugar's all dissolved, and I know that because if you swirl your mix around and allow it to coat just up the top of the bowl a little bit, can't see any granulation, no sugar grains. So the sugar's now dissolved. Just checking its temperature, 66 degrees, we've still got a little way to go. And we will switch over from the whisk to a spoon as we approach the 79 degrees, and that's centigrade, not Fahrenheit. And we're doing this with a simmering pot of water beneath, not a boiling pot, otherwise we'll scramble these eggs, which is not what we want to do either. I've got my jars ready, they've been removed from the hot canner. They've got their lids on them so they're staying sterile. They're still nice and warm in this environment where they are because we're going to be putting hot liquid. By the time this is removed off the stove and then whisked for another 5 minutes, it brings it down to about 70 degrees. So it's not boiling hot liquid, but we do need warm jars to add our warm liquid, otherwise we potentially could have thermal shock. The water canner is simmering at the moment, so it's up to temperature. I'm just going to bring its temperature down a little bit because again we don't want that shock. And then once we fill the jars up, once this thickens, which it's starting to do, and it happens quite rapidly, this is the reason you can't leave. Once we get to this point, we're at 70 degrees, so continuing to stir, and you can feel it starting to thicken and it changes colour, which is great, and it smells amazing. Okay, so we're up to temperature, thickened it with the cooking process, swiping the back of a spoon. Oh, perfect. Okay, off the heat, and we'll continue to whisk it for another 5 minutes just to incorporate, cool it down, and then pop it into jars. We're done. Into the water bath canner it'll go. Five jars, leave 1/4 inch headspace. The 6 jars, just the lemon juice, and into the water canner now for 20 minutes. So after it's cooled down, after it's cooked, it's 20 minutes in the water bath canner and it's cooled down for 24 hours. Like I said, shelf life 3 or 4 months. Longer in the fridge, up to a year in the freezer, and you end up with yummy lemon. Perfect for spreading on toast, pikelets, or just in with muffins or in with jam. It's pretty good. Alright. That's how we go about making lemon butter. So don't waste our lemons. Yum.